Welcome, Utah wrestling fans. We're back another week. We have a huge tournament coming up here in Utah called the Rumble. We're going to talk about that this week, and we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to Nate. Nate's going to be talking to Cole. We're going to be talking to Cole, the tournament director, on kind of the history of the tournament, and then we'll get more weight specific and kind of touch on the exciting matchups coming up. So, Nate, go ahead, take it away.
All right. Well, usually we have Cole on just to talk about set events, but I kind of wanted to bring Cole on today and kind of talk to him about the Rumble and the history of it and kind of some of the kids that's wrestled in it, how many four-timers, and kind of where the event's going to go. So, Cole, how long has the Rumble been going?
So there was a guy named Mark Campbell who started the Rumble, and he started it. He was the head coach at Taylorsville High School. And he was the head coach there when I started coaching at Orem High School. So I know that the Rumble did not exist when I wrestled in high school back in 91. But it did exist when I started coaching at Orem High School, which was right around 96, 97. Yeah. And it was just getting started out. But what happened is Mark had a vision of creating a national level event in Utah, and he wanted to bring teams from all over the country to the state of Utah to compete. Now Mark was a guy from back east. I believe, I want to say Maine, maybe Delaware. But Mark, what ended up happening is he took a job back east. And so he ended up going back east. And when he headed back east, the guy that took over at Taylorsville as the head coach said, "I don't want anything to do with this event." So Mark called me up. I was a young, energetic coach, and he said, "Hey, would you like to take this tournament and run with it?" He says, "You seem like the kind of guy that I think could take this tournament where I had envisioned it going." At the time, the first year that I ran the event, we had 28 teams involved. I think we had 3 states represented. And the first year that I ran this event, a lot of people find this to be kind of a fun memory. The guys that were there will love this, but we actually did it in an indoor baseball facility. It was Ultimate Sports, and it was just a big old turf. And people said it reminded them of chicken fights, like you'd show up at a chicken fight, and it was actually pretty fun. But that was the first year that I ran it, and we did it. But the reason we did it there is because Orem High School had small gymnasiums. Their brand new field house was under construction, but it hadn't been finished yet. So I didn't see that we'd be able to do, that tournament at Orem High School with the old gyms that they had. So the next year we actually did it at the field house at Orem High School. But yeah, that's kind of where this event's come and where it's at now.
Well, I've had the opportunity of watching the event grow by helping you for so many years down at the Rumble. And some of the guys who's been around the Rumble for a long time, what's his name? I'm forgetting his first name. The Kelly guy used to announce. He does all announcing for Wasatch. I'm forgetting his first name since there's so many Kellys.
No kidding.
You know how I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. And you put me on the spot on that.
we were talking about it the other day, how, remember all the little metal kids used to run bout sheets. This is before we had, track was live, and they'd stick the bout sheets on their chest, and then they'd run as fast as they could so the bout sheet would stick to them, and then they'd somersault 3-4 times, and then, come put the bout sheet in the little basket, and then we'd enter it into track wrestling.
And they all wanted mat 12. They all wanted to go. Mat 12 was the farthest mat.
Yes.
At the end of the venue from where the announcers were at. And and they wanted to, I don't know that we had 12 mats back then, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So I remember watching it grow from that part of, doing it the old dinosaur way, in so to speak, to now we're, running live matches online right up the mat, and we don't need the little kids running around anymore. And I've seen some really great matches. Let's talk about some of the finalist matchups. Do we have any 4-time Rumble champions?
Now, to my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, I want somebody to email me, because we think, if I've looked back on it, I am not aware of a 4-time Rumble champion, and so yeah, that's we have the potential to crown our first this year. Brock Hardy has a chance to be a 4-time Rumble champion, and to my knowledge, he would be the first. So, going back to the days before before myself, Mark Campbell running it, it's possible. I mean, when I first started coaching at Orem High School, Justin Reese was wrestling at Taylorsville. But I know Justin started pretty late, so he developed his wrestling skills started later, and when you're talking, as a junior high kid, so he didn't come in, I don't think, as a freshman and dominate like some of these kids do. Justin progressively every year got better and ended up being, one of the top wrestlers to come out of Utah, but I don't think he would have been a 4-timer either. But if somebody knows, it'd be fun to find out.
That's saying a lot. There's been a lot of good wrestlers go through the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jason Chamberlain. There's Aaron Holker that went on to be an NCAA champ. I know Aaron Holker was wrestled in the Rumble for 4 years. So there's been a lot of great wrestlers come through.
Another follow-up question, Cole. What's your vision for this Rumble from, say the next 5-10 years from now? What would you want it? How could you improve it, or what could you do to make things different, or do you have any plans that way?
Well, and maybe this isn't a good PR move, but I'm gonna publicly maybe call this out. But I believe this tournament can be better than the Reno Tournament of Champions, the tournament that's held late December in Reno, Nevada, and has been a tournament for a long time that's been recognized as one of the better tournaments in the Western United States. The thing that Reno has right now that we don't have is simply just a reputation. But in terms of a venue, in terms of some of the things that we do, the partnership that I have with Rockwell Watches, and the awards that we do, some of those types of things, I think, really give us an opportunity to overtake Reno in terms of prestige and in terms of just the overall event and the atmosphere of the event. So obviously we've got 8 different states represented this year, and that's a good number. But I've got a commitment from Clovis North to come out next year, and I've got the Utah Valley Visitors Bureau that is really, I think, going to step up this next year to try to help me get some teams, from not just bordering states, but from, across the country to come out and attend the tournament. So I see this event growing. It has grown every year that I have ran it, and so that's something I'm very excited about. Is that every year that it's been in existence, it's grown.
Hey, we finally got Uinta to come down this year.
There's 2 teams I'm actually very excited to have this year. Uinta's one of them, and I'm excited to have Syracuse. Syracuse got some good kids, and Troy. They've never been to the Rumble as well. So,
Yeah, it seems like from 28 teams when it started, now they're all 64-man brackets for the most part, and some of them even have more than 64 right now.
We may have some prelims to even get into the 64. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm having to go through right now and tell coaches that they've got some of them have got 2 in a weight, and we'll be deleting a few kids out. But you know, it's funny because as the tournament gets closer and closer, you've got injuries that happen. You've got kids not getting their grades in and stuff like that. So,
all right. Well, Cole, we love this tournament. It's a tournament that I know my son looks forward to and has since he was probably about 7, 8 years old. What's one last question? What's the highlight so far of the Rumble and your biggest moment for you or best match that you've seen?
Well, one of the highlights for me is actually, I think, going to happen this year, and you had it happen last year, but this is the first year that I got my own son wrestling in the tournament, and that's a highlight for me because one of the things that I've tried to create, I've tried to create a situation where hey, I'm a school teacher, and when I started these events, one of the things that I really had a vision of is trying to bring the rest of the country to Utah, so that we don't always have to go to the rest of the country, and so I'm excited to have my own son participate in it. But one of my favorite things, you'll see me hang around out in the mat area, and a lot of times I'm out running around trying to make things happen and running the event. But my favorite thing is to kind of sit in the middle of the mats every once in a while and watch some quarterfinal matches and watch some semifinal matches. And I mean, I remember probably one of the funnest high school matches I've watched was Jason Chamberlain against a Bishop Gorman kid, and it was a semifinal match. And I think the score probably ended up something like 14-12, and just the action was unbelievable. But the highlight for me is really it's just when I go to a wrestling tournament and I see a kid with a Rumble shirt on, when I out at a restaurant and I see a kid with a Rumble shirt on, and kids in the state and kids take a lot of pride being a part of this event. So,
all right. Well, Cole, thank you for running this event. I've seen it from both sides. I've been on the inside, and I've seen how much work goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people have no idea. The amount of time, the amount of phone calls, the amount of emails, the amount of setup time, and bracketing. I mean, there's so much that goes into run a tournament that you do an outstanding job. And thanks for all your hard work and for improving the wrestling in Utah.
Thanks, Nate. One of the things I was going to mention too, Nate, is when I first started using track wrestling, there was the Rumble and one other tournament that were on track wrestling this weekend. So I was one of
you were one of the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I was literally one of the first events using track wrestling, and the owner of track wrestling, Justin Tritz, I got to know him because literally I was there in the infancy of that company, and when I went back to the NCAAs last year, we got to kind of hang out a little bit with Justin and just to watch. I mean, he's watched the Rumble grow, but to watch track wrestling grow too has been kind of a neat experiment.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Cole. Jeff, any highlights from you on the Rumble? What's your top one or two moments from the Rumble? You've been involved for a while.
Those drapes in the background look amazing. They look awesome.
Thank you.
They do make your eyes dance.
I appreciate that. That's the wife's decoration. She does a great job.
Yeah, I like it.
You know what? Highlights. I like the matches. I mean, they're all fun. Finals obviously are great. I haven't been able to be there. I wasn't there last year. I won't be there this year because I'll be running the JV Rumble. But I watch as much as I can on TrackCast. So wish I could be there for finals and tournament. But like Cole said, those are the most exciting matches. Semis, quarters are fun too. So, but yeah, they're exciting.
All right. Well, why don't you start talking a little bit about some of what you think are going to be some of the better weights to watch at the Rumble. Maybe some of the better matches.
Yeah. So, I mean, most of your weight classes have phenomenal matchups there. I can start at the bottom and kind of run through the list, but as you guys were talking, I've been kind of looking through the seeds and kind of seeing what we have exactly. But, even at 98 pounds, you have some fun matches that are going to take place even at 98. I mean, you have, Sage Mortimer, Austin Bush, Tristan Smith, a lot of these kids that were, dominant back in junior high now are at the 98-pound weight class, and they've been doing well at 106, but, this will give them opportunity to compete at their real weight. So even at 98, they're going to be exciting matches to watch. For me, one of the most exciting weight classes is probably going to be 120. 120 is super deep. You have a kid named Malik Heinzelman. I don't even know if I said that right, but he's one of the best kids in the country, and most people know who he is from Colorado. But
I think he's a world team member, right?
Yeah, world team member. After him, you have Gavin Ayotte and Garrett Ricks, which as of right now are your 2 and 3 seed. Your 4 seed right now is Jacob Frias from Arizona, and Riker Boyce is your 5. I don't know if these will change at all, but you have a state champ at 1, you have a state champ at 2, state champ at 3, runner up at 4, state champ at 5, and then you have a state champ at 7. So I'm skipping over 6. Now come back to 6. And you have a freshman, I think a freshman at number 6 from Windsor,
Von
Bauer, who lost to Malik Heinzelman this year 8-5. So I obviously didn't see the match, but 8-5 against one of the best in the country, it means he's one of the best. But the reason he's getting a lower seed, I'm assuming, is he's a freshman. He doesn't have any. He doesn't have a state title to his name. He doesn't have all these things, a Rumble placement. So he's getting a little bit lower of a seed, but he's going to be, I would not be surprised to see him in the finals against Malik. So you got him at 6, and then you still go back at, again, like I said, you have a state champ at 7 in Van Bray. Your 8 right now is Oakley Ridge, and all these can change, obviously. You have a state champ, Jarrett Jorgensen right now is at a 10. And then you have another kid that you don't want to sleep on, who the 13 seed. Where does the 13? That ends up on the top of the bracket, I think, right? Because 8, 9 top, 10, 11 bottom, 12, 13 on the top. So your 13 seed is from Windsor, who is the backup to Von Bauer, Vincent I don't even know how to say his name, Fortin Munez or whatever, Munez. But right now he's your 13 seed, but he's tough. Whoever and I don't know where the 13 seed hits first. I don't know that bracket knowledge yet, but if he ends up being a 13 seed, I hate to run into him before the quarterfinals. Let's just put it that way. And he could, if he runs into Garrett Ricks or Gavin Ayotte, he's going to give him a go, and it's going to be a fun match. And I don't know where they would hit or who he's going to see before then, but that's one that's going to be seated low because, again, he's a JV wrestler, or at least he's behind Von Bauer in this one, I'm assuming. And he's a freshman again, I think. And so he doesn't have accolades or anything, but super tough kid. So in my opinion, 120, then you have kids that right now are not seated, but, have had good, go. You have Isaiah Valdez, Westlake, good kid. You have Tristan Farnsworth, freshman, Altamont. It'll be fun to see where he stacks up in there. You have John Evans from Beaver. So in my opinion, right now, just looking through these weights, 120 is going to be a phenomenal weight class to watch. Probably one that I'm most excited about.
All right.
So anyways, I know, Nate, you're excited about 126.
Yeah, I think 126 is. I just think 126 is pretty stacked 1 through 6. I think that's. I think there's a heavy favorite. Well, Terrell could push it. It could be a rematch of last year's Rumble. And then you've got Cub Dietz. You've got
you got Marcus Castillo from Arizona.
Yeah, that's right, Marcus Castillo. You got Sammy Haywood. There's
Terry.
Gabe Terry. That's right. Gabe Terry's in there. Oh, that's a pretty good weight too.
You got Gentry Warner,
Quentin Mortimer,
Hadley Cowan, Josh Armstrong.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's tough. I would argue 20 is deeper, but I think 26, those, in my opinion, I think 26, the top 3 are probably, the top, and then you got the next tier. And maybe someone will surprise us and break into that top 3, but definitely Serrano from Colorado, Bear Clough, and Castillo from Arizona are going to be 3 of your tough ones.
I agree.
Looking, since you guys brought up the, Brock Hardy having a chance to be the first 4-timer at the Rumble, let's look quickly at his bracket. Personally, I don't think he'll be pushed. I think he'll win the bracket handily. Maybe Daniel Coles. Isn't he? He's from Canada, right, Cole?
Yeah, he's the Canada.
Yeah, he's in Canada.
He's tough. I mean, if he can get past Brady Lowry, I don't know if he'll get to Hardy or not.
He's not a folk style guy either, but he's really good on his feet, but he's not very good on top bottom yet. He's still trying to figure that out.
And so I think, my opinion, Brock runs away with it. Unless someone, does a Tanya Harding on him or something, I think he wins it. My opinion. So, what else? We got 52. You have, McKay Foy is gonna run into Kagan Canfield and possibly Logan Jensen both, which will be fun to see kind of where McKay stacks up. Logan's been out injured, coming back. He'll be at 52. And then, like I said, McKay Foy and Canfield should hit in the semis, and then the winner would go against Logan, assuming all seats play out, obviously. But
Jeff, you're talking about seeds. Maybe we can tell those that are listening in kind of what we're doing and what happens. What we do is we publish a pre-seed, so the pre-seeds are out there. If you want to see those pre-seeds, you just go to Track Wrestling. You click on weight classes, and then there's a link to the seeds, and you can see what we haven't pre-seeded. Now, we didn't seed. We didn't seed past 16 in most weight classes. In some weight classes, we did fewer than 16. So if you're looking at 17 through whatever, those weren't seeded, and we will seed through 16, and from there they'll be drawn in. Okay, so it won't be seeded past 16. But on Thursday night, we've got a committee that will be meeting, and our committee will finalize seeds, and we'll look at. We've asked coaches to go in and put information in about head-to-head matchups we may not have considered. If they missed putting in a Rumble place from previous years, we've asked them to put that in, and you can see the comments below what the coaches are about the seeding as well. So those are available to the public.
So it's a long process. I've been involved with seeding. This year I took a back seat to seeding. But still involved. But it's a long process for those that are listening. A lot of research, and a lot goes. We don't always get it right. The committee doesn't always get it right, but it's pretty darn close, I think, in my opinion.
Well, if you look at last year and whatnot, I think we were pretty darn close to the top 3 or 4 kids. Were all either in the semis or the finals,
And the thing I would say is I hope kids prove us wrong, and if you don't get the seed you think you deserve, then go prove us wrong. And that's the great thing about rankings. Don't mean anything. Seeds don't mean anything. Go prove it on the mat.
And Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know in years past, you do have a loose criteria for seeding, but when all is said and done, the committee has power to override anything and seed whatever they want, whatever they feel is best. And a lot of tournaments stick to a certain criteria, and a lot of tournaments leave out common sense or whatever you want to call it. When I've been involved with a seeding and rumble, you've kind of given us free reign. Use our common sense. Here's our criteria. If two kids are equal, you go with this kid over this kid because of criteria. But in the end, the committee has been pretty free to use their knowledge and best judgment, right?
Right, and I mean, here's an example of that. Just this year is Nate mentioned that this is the first year that Uinta will be here, right? So if you only take that criteria of the rumble place, then Gavin Ayotte doesn't get a very good seat, right?
Right.
But we know where he's at. We know what he's capable of, and so we don't stick to an arbitrary. This is our criteria, and this is how we're going to do it. Now we try to have some integrity process. We don't want it to be political. We want it to be fair, but that's where common sense does come into play. And just because Gavin didn't compete in the event last year doesn't mean that he's not going to get seated in this event. And you could say that about the Arizona kids that are making the trip up from Arizona that didn't compete in the event last year, and a few other situations. So we try to look at the entire picture. State place obviously matters. Rumble place is a major criteria. So if we're looking at two kids and we look at rumble place, that's going to be something that gives us an idea, because this is the toughest tournament in the state, and I believe one of the toughest in the Western United States, and so we try to be reasonable about our seeds.
Yeah. And okay, so going back to kind of the weight classes, kind of going through 160, it'll be interesting how the seeds end up. And I know tomorrow night you guys are doing kind of a seeding meeting via conference call. So 160 will be an interesting one. So I'll kind of go through that real quick. Isaac Wilcox, I think, is your number one without question. But here comes, Stockton Moat. He has an argument to be number two, state champ. But when you look at rumble placing, and this is what coaches will argue, his rumble placing last year with 8th. You have, a kid like Mason Christiansen who came 5th last year, or Tanner Lofthouse, probably maybe even a better example is Tanner Lofthouse. Tanner Lofthouse came 6th at the rumble last year, a better rumble place. So does Tanner Lofthouse take your number 2 seed? Or does Stockton Moat take your number 2 seed, since Stockton Moat beat Tate and Ringel, and Tate and Ringel beat Mason Christiansen? So obviously if I'm Mountain Crest, I'm arguing Tanner Lofthouse is your number 2 because he has the highest returning rumble plays at 6th, whereas Stockton Moat came 8th. And, obviously Stockton will probably be ahead of Tate and Ringel and Mason Christiansen. But state placement, Moat has the higher, he's I think 2-time state champ, whereas, Lofthouse is the 3rd and the 4th. Anyways, seating meeting at 160 could get fun tomorrow night. But you have,
thanks for that, Jeff.
You have Wilcox, you have Moat, you have Tate and Ringel, you have Mason Christiansen, you have Tanner Lofthouse. I think you're your top 5 for sure. I could be wrong, but that's who my top 5 would be. Again, I don't know the order, but again, it's. I think tomorrow's seating meeting could be fun at 160 because I think both sides have arguments of who should be where. In the end, the committee's probably going to have to make a decision on that one. So that should be a fun weight, though. We could see Tate and Ringel versus Stockton Moat Part 3. Mason Christiansen, and Isaac used to always battle it out in junior high. I haven't wrestled too much in high school during the season, so that they could meet up again. I mean, Tanner Lofthouse lost to Isaac 1-0 at the Richardson. So, 60 could be a fun one. 170, you have, I think, in my opinion, you have the top 3 guys that are above everyone else. You have Joey Mazzara out of Nevada, who actually beat Cole Moody at the Reno Tournament of Champions. I think I didn't see the match. I don't know how it went, but Cole Moody went to the Doc Buchanan, won the Doc Buchanan. So obviously he's wrestling much better than he was at Reno. I know when Cole went to Reno, he had hardly practiced because of football. So when he went to Doc Buchanan, I think we saw a different Cole Moody at the Doc Buchanan than we did at Reno, my opinion. Third seed right now is a guy out of Windsor, Isaiah Salazar, young kid. I think he's a sophomore this year, returning state champ, one state as a freshman, I think. But it will be fun to see how he does. He's younger than Moody and Mazzara, but he's undefeated on the year, it looks like, and he could be a tough one. And it will be interesting to see. Obviously Mazzara is going to get the 1 seed because he beat Moody. Moody's going to get the 2 seed. And I'm assuming Isaiah will get the 3 seed because returning state champ, undefeated. Obviously Delta possibly argue Tanner Shield over Isaiah, which again, valid argument. Placed 4th at the Rumble last year. So that's another tough one. I guess Tanner Shields and Isaiah Salazar 3 and the 4. And then you do have another kid, Bentley Johnson at Cokeville. Is that Wyoming?
That's Cokeville, Wyoming.
Undefeated on the year, 24-0 it shows. But no returning Rumble place and 5th estate. So you have some in-state guys, Seth Gardner, Jace Anderson as well, Spencer Curtis that should be in the mix as well. So 70 could have some good ones. So, but my top 4 seeds would probably be Mazzara, Moody, Salazar, and Shields 1, 2, 3, and 4. But that'll be a good one. 82. I think at 82 you have the top 2 guys. You have Tate Samuelson at Colorado, right? Yeah, and he won the Rumble last year, and where is he going to school? Did he sign at Wyoming? Is that where he signed?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember where he signed. Maybe it was somewhere else. Anyways, one of the better kids in the country is Tate Samuelson, and Brandon Van Tassel will be the number 2 seed. I'm pretty sure those 2 seeds are pretty locked in. And I would be surprised if those 2 didn't make the finals. Obviously, you have right now the 3 seeds, Connor Bourne. I don't know that will hold up. My opinion, Wyatt Monroe is the 3 seed over Connor Bourne. But, Connor Bourne, he was a cadet All-American and returning state champ, so maybe he has an argument to be a 3. But my opinion is Wyatt Monroe should be the 3, and then, 4th place returning Rumble, and then maybe Bourne number 4, maybe. Or I don't even know if Bourne's a 4 seed, to be honest with you. So, but again, you won't want to miss the finals at 182. Samuelson and Van Tassel will be one of the best matches of the night. So definitely don't miss that one. I'm kind of taking over. Nate, Cole, you guys have any thoughts on these weights?
Hey, I'm loving. I'm enjoying listening to you right now, Jeff.
Yeah. No,
good.
You're doing good.
Good. Okay, I'll keep going then. So 195. I know Nate, me and you talked about 195 the other day, and yeah. I don't know how to seed this weight. You have DJ Cohen probably going to be your number 1 seed. Dryden Mink from Wyoming, I guess, has a valid argument to be number 1, and probably probably will be the number 1 when all is said and done if they want to push it. Because I don't even know how Mink or whatever. And Cohen wrestled in the off season at the Intermountain Warrior Challenge, and Cohen beat him. So, but here's Mink has placed 4th at the Rumble last year. Cohen placed 5th, which in my opinion is the exact same place pretty much, because Cohen may have lost to the 3rd, and he could have came 4th as well. So, but the argument for the Mink kid to be number 1 is he placed 4th at the Rumble. Cohen placed 5th. The argument for plus Mink's a 2-time state champ. Cohen's a 1-time state champ. So that I think I would put Cohen number 1 because he has a win at the challenge. But again, it's off season, so who knows? A couple interesting ones here. I think Cooper Legas could be your 3 seed. Tyler Haley could be your 5. Tyler Haley at the All-Stars looked really good. I know Tyler Haley has 1 loss on the season, lost to the Beaver kid, and so maybe that hurts him.
Where's the Beaver kid? I think he should be up there a little ways. I think he's had a pretty good season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He should be up there. I mean, he beat Tyler Haley, so he probably should be seated. I don't know where he's at right now. He's probably unseeded right now, but yeah, he shows he's undefeated. So maybe
I think that's what he is, undefeated. Yeah.
He placed 5th at the Rumble last year, so I guess right now, based on seeding criteria, probably Tice is your 3 seed, which would push Cooper Legault. He's a returning state champ and a 5th place at the Rumble. That would push Cooper Legault back to the 4, and that would you have a kid from Arizona, Eric Pervin, I think. I think he's Arizona. He's number 5 right now, and Haley is your number 7. So, anyways, it'll be fun for me to see Cooper Legault, a kid who used to be in our program, Cole, and see how he does, and he'll get pushed for sure, and it'll be fun. So that's a 95. 220, I think your top guy here is Chase Trussell. It looks like, Micah Tautioli or Callan Whitaker be your 2 and 3. Callan Whitaker looked really good at the All-Stars again. He beat Cade Carlson super handily. I know Cade was coming back from the Dr. Cannon.
I think it was 8-1, wasn't it?
I think it was 10-1, and then he got the pin at the end, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I don't remember completely either, but it'll be fun to, there. And is Corner Canyon not coming, Cole? Do they not come?
No, they don't.
So we won't see it. We won't see Cade there, but Callan Whitaker looked great at the All-Stars. But I think Chase Trussell at the All-Stars impressed me. And just for the viewers here, I know we haven't come out with our Beehive Top 25 again in a while. Apologize for that. I'm working on it. Hopefully I can get it out. But a little sneak peek, Chase Trussell is jumping up very high. Super impressed with him at the All-Stars. But he will be one that makes a big jump in the Beehive Top 25.
The Ginger Ninja.
Yes. So those that are waiting for the Beehive Top 25, there you go, sneak peek. But again, I think 220 is his weight right now, unless something else happens, I guess. But looks like here at heavyweight,
talk about your son,
Brisky.
There you go.
One of my favorite heavyweights of all time.
I'm going to take you back to 220 though, because you've got Micah Tautiali, but Spencer is a freshman, and I think 220 is the right weight for Spencer. They've been trying to get down to 195, and it's been tough for him to try to get down there. But you don't take a kid like Spencer and not feed him. Give him some food and let him do. I mean,
Spencer.
I think Spencer might make some waves there at 220.
He could, and I agree with you. I think 220 is a better weight class for him. Even though he's a freshman, he's strong. And he'll be tough at 220 for sure. He'll probably go in unseeded, I'm assuming, but he's definitely not a draw that you're going to want to get.
No.
So, heavyweight, Brisky's your number 1. I don't think there's question there. Right now, 2, they have Victor Bravo out of Windsor, Colorado. I don't know much about him. And it looks like he came 4th at state last year, 16-2 record on the year. Porter Fox is your number 3. Wilkinson, number 4 right now. And you got Daniel Jordan from Cedar, number 5. I don't know how well the seeds will hold up, if they'll change much or not. At heavyweight, Brisky's your guy, I think. I'm not, obviously there'll probably be some close matches. It's his heavyweight, but I think
I'm super impressed with that Fox kid, though.
Yeah. I haven't seen him wrestle yet this year. So.
Oh my heavens, he impressed me. I watched him wrestle last weekend, and he did some stuff. I mean, he's small for a heavyweight. He is small. I mean, he could.
Is he?
But he is so powerful and quick. I mean, he's wrestling. It looks like a 106 versus a heavyweight out there. It's kind of fun to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, and so coming back, we have 2 weight classes we actually skipped over.
6 and 13?
32. Well, we skipped over 32 and 38. 32, I think, my opinion, it'll be a Stockton O'Brien, Tyson Humphreys finals. And you do have 2 kids, Andrew Cota out of Arizona and Randy Myers out of Colorado, I do believe. both tough kids. Cota will hit Humphreys in the semis, assuming they all get there. Myers will hit O'Brien in the semis. I think Tyson and Stockton make it through. You also have Caleb Armstrong out of Hurricane, kind of maybe a sleeper pick. Might actually sneak up a couple seats, possibly. He's returning 5th place at the Rumble. You also have kids like Cole Zorn, Gage Mason that are – and I guess a kid out of Windsor that placed last year at the Rumble also. So you have some kids that have arguments to slide up in the seating. I don't know whether they will or not, but those are some of your better ones there. 38. 38, if Zach Kohler, I think it's his weight to lose. Year 2 is going to be Sean Sorensen, who's had a great year so far. So it'll be fun to see kind of, Sean Sorensen, Anthony Herrera, they meet up. And then you got Jace Dart, who's had a great year as well so far, who could kind of change some things. Then you got kids, Carson Sheets, Dylan Chavez, kind of, the next guys that might be able to make some waves and jump up and beat some of those kids. So, but I think, the way Sorensen's wrestling right now, the way, Kohler, how he can wrestle, they both could be a finals match there. Are there weights we missed? Did we miss 13 and 6?
Yeah.
We did.
We did.
Okay, so 13, 13 is going to be another fun one to seed. Seeding meeting. Coaches have some great arguments to change things around a little bit. I think your number one, in my opinion, is Will Vombauer, no questions asked. But then you got, a kid like Scott Robertson, who beat Mogul and Denton the other week at the Richardson. Then you got a kid like Dylan Moore from Stansbury, who is a state runner-up. Does Dylan Moore have an argument to be the number 2 seed over all those guys? Or does Scott Robertson have an argument to be over Mogul and Denton as a number 2 seed? But then Scott Robertson has a couple losses on the year. I know he lost to Jaden Adamson this year. And Jaden right now he's a 9 seed right now, I think. But Jaden's lost to, let's see.
Declan Kelly.
I mean, Jaden's lost quite a few matches, it looks like. It actually said on here that Scott Robertson beat Jaden Adamson. So, yeah, anyways, that'll be a fun one. It says on here that did Mogul and Denton beat Robertson also this year? It says they beat him. I don't know. So, I guess
I don't know about that one.
Together. Yeah.
So, but, on here, it'll be interesting. Maybe Denton and Mogul both beat Robertson. They beat each other. I don't know. I guess if they beat each other, then probably Mogul and Denton are ahead of Robertson, and then that puts Dylan Moore in there somewhere. You got Connor Ingram, Tayton Bennett from Fremont dropped down, and then like I said, you have Jaden Adamson, but he's lost a couple. You have Finlinson from Westlake that will probably.
Then you got Mitchell Slack dropping down from.
Mitchell Slack dropped down, yeah. Anyways, that'll be kind of an interesting seeding meeting there too, because I'm not sure. I thought Jaden Adamson had beat Robertson, maybe he didn't, and then I didn't know Robertson had lost to Mogul and Denton, but saying they did here, I don't know. Robertson has 2 losses. He lost to 2 kids. I don't know who he lost to. So that one, depending on who beat who, could kind of be interesting there. But I think Vombauer right now is a clear number 1. At 6, you got Bingham number 1 right now. Wardle's number 2. Kid out of Arizona number 3. You have a kid, Devin Atenciao or something. He looks tough. He's 16-1 on the year with 4th place at state last year. Right now he's at a number 6. And then Cole, your boy's in here. Right now he's at number 8. So that could be good. Cooper Cox at number 5. He's had a solid season this year. So it would be interesting to see how he does against, Marco Herrera. Right now Herrera's a 4 seed. But that could be a fun weight too. Wardle Bingham, good chance they'll meet in the finals. I think it's a good opportunity for him too. And, I know at the All-Star match, Bingham beat beat Wardle pretty good, pinned him. It'll be interesting to see how Wardle comes back and wrestles them, if they meet up again at the Rumble. So anyways, that's my preview on the Rumble, weight by weight.
That's pretty amazing, Jeff, I got to tell you. So
sounds good.
And just so that you guys know, I mean, I've been in the youth ranks for how long now, and to now have a freshman coming up and wrestling in the Rumble, but I used to be a stats geek, like Jeff, but I just called you a geek, Jeff.
I know, it's okay.
But you guys know now why I defer to others who I consider to be much more astute at knowing who the kids are at the various weights. And so Nate, Jeff, others that are on our committee, we've got Boyce down in St. George. We've got Wilcox. We've got Nate, help me out here. Who are some others that we've got on our committee that are going to help us out?
I think we have Jerry Slaw up in Uinta. He's going to help us kind of with some of those northern guys.
Yeah, I invited Quinn Dixon as well out in Vernal.
Quinn, yep,
join us. There's a couple others that I know I've invited to be on that call. Dan Rice, Lehigh, I've been invited to be on that call, and I mean, hey, you want to be on the committee? Send me a text message. Send Nate a text message. We're open. We're open to. If you've stayed with us this long in this broadcast, then heck, man, you're a junkie too. We'd love to have you. And send us a text message because we're open. It's not a closed door, smoky room type atmosphere. We really just
we just want to get it right.
We want to try to get it right, and and the one thing I try to avoid, if I got somebody in that's only advocating for their wrestlers and they're not trying to be open-minded and fair about the process, then probably don't want you invited. Okay, that's just being brutally honest. But if you're somebody who can remove yourself from the the bias and the personal bias, and we all have it to some degree, and really look and say what's the right seed, what's the fair seed here. We'd love to have you involved.
There you go. So tomorrow night, seeds will be final. Is that correct?
Correct.
So look for those. And
it'll be late. It'll be late though.
Yes. Rumble's Friday, Saturday. Cole, on Friday, do you run the quarterfinals on Friday?
No. Quarterfinals are first round on Saturday morning.
Quarterfinals, first round on Saturday. So Saturday is going to be action-packed. You have quarters, semis, and finals. What time are finals?
So if you go to the Rumble, and that might be a good way to pitch it, but the-rumble.com. So therumble.com, and you can find a link to the schedule on there. You got a link to track wrestling that's on there, but I've got the schedule pulled up in front of me here right now. And sorry, what was your question?
What time are finals on Saturday?
Finals are at 5 o'clock on Saturday.
So if you can't make it 5 o'clock Saturday, go watch. If you can't make that, TrackCast, they can purchase it on trackwrestling.com, right? Just go to the tournament and you click on the tournament, and then it'll give you an option to purchase, and then you can watch it on Track Wrestling as well at your home if you don't want to come. Correct?
Correct. Yep. One of the things we've done the past couple of years is we've actually offered a team membership. The teams can pay a flat fee, and then I give them a code, and I give the coaches that code to hand out to friends, family, parents. And so, if you happen to belong to a program that's paid for that, your coach will probably be sending that information out to you.
And if you're not with a program that does that, and talk to your coach and encourage your coach to do that if you have a lot of people staying home that may want to watch, right?
Correct.
So there you go. Rumble this weekend, probably the premier event in Utah right now. Definitely tougher than the state tournament, I have to say. State tournament is exciting. the Rumble, it's going to be a lot tougher. Probably you have most of your best teams there for Utah, and it'll be a fun tournament. You can't go watch on TrackCast. I won't be there, but I'll follow along, obviously. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll probably be back at least one more time before the state tournament. Got some more things to talk about, but we will be back. We'll let you know. Thanks for listening.